Okay, y'all like my theme song. This is Yonder. I am stepping in for my man Reggie for Urban Centennial. And I have some very special guests today. Very, very special guests. I have a good friend, but not just a good friend. He's world renowned. He's a world renowned numerologist and great writer of many, many books. With no further ado, let me bring in my good friend, Mr. Lloyd Strayhorn.
Hey, Yonder, how are you?
Man, I am so good, Lord. I'm just, look, I don't get giddy over nobody. I'm not like a groupie for folks. But when I say love and respect somebody, that's you, man. I
Well,
mean,
we brothers. We brothers. We've been knowing each other, got to be close to 25, 30 years. You
and
know what
yeah,
I'm
at
saying?
least, man,
Yeah,
I was so happy when you gave me the pleasure to say, I text you like, hey, what time, what day, what? I'm there. I mean, folks don't understand those type of relationship with men and with men that do what we do from
yeah,
authorship and other
yeah,
things. When
yeah,
you can call somebody and just say, hey, or text them and say, "Boo-doo-doo-doo," they didn't say, well, where the check at? Or I got to get you, or call this person. Call it. You said, what time, what date?
yep. And that
I'm
was
there.
it. That was
That was
it.
it.
Yeah,
Folks
but we
don't
got that kind of
understand that.
relationship, though, Yonder. That's the
Man,
kind of
and I
relationship we
appreciate
have.
that, man. You
You
know how
know?
folks get big and they don't, you were big when I met you. So but I want to introduce the world to Lloyd Strayhorn. Lloyd
Hi,
is a
everybody.
numerologist. Lloyd, tell them what a numerologist does.
Well, actually, Yonder, I am an astro numerologist, which means I combine the ancient African arts of astrology and numerology together. So when there was a person that's waiting to come into the room, for example, let's take you. You are born on the 9th of June, if memory serves me correct.
Yes, it is,
Therefore,
sir.
you are an air sign with a fire number. But one
Yes.
of the persons that's going to be joining us is an earth sign, excuse me, they're a water sign with an earth number, which tells me this person is nurturing, friendly, healing, a lot of strong sympathy and empathy. I haven't met Kayla yet, and I'll talk to Mark, but we all have it, and so where astrology deals with your zodiac sign, numerology deals with your date of birth, and so it acts as a guide, and it teaches one how to be in the right place at the right time in harmony with the universe.
What I want to do, if it's okay with you, I have Mark. Could you bring the other folks in right now?
Hi, Bianca.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
And Lloyd, I don't think I don't know if you, I don't think, Kayla, have you met Lloyd before?
I don't think so.
This is Judy's daughter.
Really? Hi,
Yeah.
Judy's daughter. My pleasure.
You
Pleasure.
Judy was the person who eventually who first told me about you when we met you at the hotel. This was
Really?
yeah, this is yes. You had
Okay.
and you told her their numbers then. Oh, that was oh Lord, 20 something. Like you said 20 something years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I've been doing this for a long time, and I fortunately I found something I'm very passionate about. We all have a passion. It's just that I think I was better than most in finding my passion. But they go through changes. Most times when you go through something you want, you're gonna be tested. People gonna think you're an outlier and whatever. But like let's say if we take Bianca, she might have been writing, she might have had to do this or that, but eventually she put out her fiction books and things of that nature. And this is what brings passion to what we do. So her son will be proud, her mom will be proud, and anybody who enjoys reading a good book and a good fiction. I love fiction, by the way, so I got to get one of her books. Is He All That? I don't know what that's about, but that type sounds interesting right then and there. So
Yeah.
I'll explore that. But all of us have talent. Every one of us have God-given talents, and I explain it this way: that if it takes millions and millions of sperm to go after one egg, And that meeting of that one sperm among the millions meet that one egg, that we are the result of it. You can't tell me we're not special in this viewership. All of us are special. It's just how we look at ourselves and things of that nature. So we're all divinely special. That's why I try to treat everybody with respect.
That's right. That's right. Okay, since I got you on, Lloyd. Okay, you could do my numbers, and like I said, folks won't believe. Now we say, cause they say we boys.
Okay.
Okay, Kayla, give him your numbers.
What month
Not
and day? I don't need the year yet, because sometimes women are shy about it. But if you want to give me the year, that's fine.
Oh no, you can I can give you all of it. So just like my birth date, April 4, 1998.
April 4th?
Oh no, April the 22nd.
Oh, April the 22nd. Okay. You're born the same day as the woman that has the radio station. I'll think of her name in a minute. Down in DC. She used to have the radio station where people could actually see it in the
Kathy.
window.
Kathy
Kathy
Hughes.
Hughes,
Kathy
yes.
Hughes.
Kathy
She's born on
Hughes, right?
Kathy Hughes' birthday. Yes. Because I used to be on Kathy Hughes' show a lot too. But anyway, it indicates, Kayla, whoever you are, bless your soul, you tend to be more misunderstood than understood. So if I had to hang a motto over your door, it would be to know Kayla is to love Kayla. It tells me you're sensitive, you're visionary, you will have secret enemies through no fault of your own because of jealousy, envy, insecurity. This year, you've been doing a lot of growing up. This year, you're in a pregnancy cycle. Not that you
Oh.
will be pregnant, but what I'm saying is symbolic pregnant, that you give birth to an idea, birth to a plan, birth to an enterprise. Or in fact, you might have a friend that you met this year that's either gotten pregnant, gotten married, whatever the case is, things like that, and say, girl, you're going to be a godmother or whatever the case is. But you've been doing a lot of growing up this year, and you like to think outside the box, and you will forgive, but you're not going to forget.
That about you?
Cool. Yeah.
And she always attracts odd and unusual relationships. So when you first started dating, mother probably said, honey, what's that about? Or where did I find him at? That kind of thing. You're not average, that's for sure. Taylor.
Uh,
Cool.
Lloyd, I'm just curious what you got to say about folks that are born on July 1st and everything like that. It was 1962 and everything along those lines. But then I was also curious about your connection, because we were talking about it offline, to the world famous jazz artist Billy Strayhorn and everything like
Yes,
that. So I
well,
just wanted
with as far level, I'll get to last first. Well, with Billy Strayhorn, we're like cousins. I would be like second cousin removed. But he was a famous musician born on November the 29th, and his famous collaborator, Duke Ellington. So when people hear the A Train, that's really Billy Strayhorn. When they hear Passion Flower and Lush Life, all these songs that are associated to Duke Ellington, well, Billy Strayhorn wrote those classics. But Duke Ellington was born on May the 29th, excuse me, April the 29th. So they were both born on the 29th day, and there was this famous thing that when they were both asked to write the first several chords. The chords were identical, them not knowing, but they have that same kind of synergy. As for the July 1st person, it tells me they were old when they were young and they got younger as they got older. And if this is a male, it tells me that they were probably introduced to sex 101 when they was a kid as a young person, which is none of my business. But as they got older, and it tells me they don't take orders well. They've always been independent. They may have thought about as a youngster being a lawyer or a doctor or a scientist or getting into their own or starting their own kind of business. And they normally be refreshingly direct. They tend to say it the way they do. You have numbers similar to Nikolai Tesla, this person, because Nikolai Tesla was also a Cancer one too. And he says that those who understand the three, six, and nine understand the universe.
Yep. That
And it
sounds
tells me,
very much similar. That sounds similar to me and everything along those lines. Just really quickly, now I'll let you get to the other ones as well. My brother will be celebrating his birthday next month and everything like that. His birthday is October 26th, 1969. So, what would you say about somebody that is another water sign, but it is October
well, it
26th?
tells me your brother was out on his own between his 19th and 22nd birthday. He's always been an old soul, very sophisticated, very conservative. You two are like night and day. You would be more adventurous. He would be more conservative. He would lean more to the right in politics. You probably lean more to the left in terms of his way of thinking or whatever the case is like that. Your brother is very intense, which is why he'll have headaches or some concerns with his knees, teeth, or bones, things of that nature. In your case, you may have some concerns more with the lower back, things of that nature, high blood pressure and irregular blood circulations from time to time, too, you know. But with your brother, he's very intense, he's very loyal. Sometimes both of y'all have one thing in common. People think y'all are distant or removed emotionally and thinking you guys are cold, but y'all are not. It's just they got to really know you. And you, the more intelligent the woman you deal with, the better for them. You don't like to deal with women that just look gorgeous and ain't got no substance. That's normally not your character.
Yeah, would agree with that.
I told you I love this dude. I love this dude.
Well, let's not leave Bianca out, okay?
Yes, Bianca.
Bianca is born the same day as the Dalai Lama. She's born the same day as 50 Cent. She ain't got his money, but she's born the same as 50 Cent.
Yeah.
And Bianca's gift is the gift of reading. She can read people very well. So let's say I invited her to my home to a reading, and I open the door right away. She's judging me like, "Nah, I ain't gonna stay here too long. I'm gonna just in and out." And she's always a work in progress. Like in to go to school, she's probably gone to school, took a course, finished a course. This particular year has been a little rough around the edges for her in terms of getting things together. There may have been some boundaries set, some restrictions or limitations, but things are about to break out for her in less than about 3 weeks. And it's going to change her life like it did in the fall of 2016 into 2017. And this way, it's going to allow you to make some market changes where you're going to decide, should I go in one direction or another direction? But it's going to be about change. And the year after that, the fall of 2026 and 2027, will be your romance and finance cycle, moving into a home, moving out of a home, doing things of that nature. But you are very good at judging people. You're very classic and traditional. You and you're the kind of person, Bianca, I can jokingly say you can be so stingy you'll squeeze the brown off the penny. But if there's something you want, you're
Yes.
gonna figure out you're gonna get
I'm cheap. Yeah.
it. But listen,
Unapologetically.
yeah, and so what you got is yours. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? And so
Mhm.
we all got lucky numbers. In the case of Kayla, her lucky numbers are the 4, 1, and 5. Yours is the 6, 2, and 7. Mark's his is the 1, 4, 2, and 7. His brothers is the 8, 9, and 6. And for my man, uh, Yonder, his numbers are the 9, 5, and 6. But you're very faithful. You read people like a book. And you're always doing something, taking a course, a workshop, a seminar, a retreat, and stuff like that. You tend to have more problems with the sinuses, the nose, the throat, the upper part of the lungs, and things of that nature. And not only that, but then down by the tummy, the sensitivity with the stomach and digestive tract, or sensitivities with the female problems from time to time, as you would describe it as a woman. For you, Kayla, yours would be things connected to things that are very odd and unusual. They can never figure out what's wrong with you, as far as your health has to do with a state of mind more than anything else. So if you had a sudden breakup with a guy or a sudden termination of a job, that'll throw you out of whack. So your health has a direct relationship to how you think. So this is fascinating, and I enjoy this. And then as I told you at the beginning of the show, I'm nosy too. So it's like, you
Yeah, I
know,
got one more for you. Well, actually, got two more, but this is a famous person. I'll tell you who it is after I tell you, after I give you their date and everything. But what would you say to somebody born on September 4th, 1981? It is a famous
oh, that's
person.
like Beyonce. That's her birthday.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
is exactly who it is. So that's exactly who I went with and everything. So
Yeah,
what would you say
yeah.
about her numbers?
Well, this is her year. In fact, there's what is called a personal year cycle. How do you get that? I took the month and day she's born, September the 4th, and then added to this year, 2025, and she's in a 4 personal year. So she won the most prestigious uh, award at the Grammys in January. Okay. And so this is her year where a lot of things are going to come true. And it's so interesting. She's a 4. Jay-Z is born on the 4th. They're born on the 4th. They got engaged on the 4th in the month of April. They have on their ring, they have on their fingers in kind of carved in or tattooed in the Roman numeral 4. Their first daughter was named Blue, which is 4 letters. I mean, so there's a lot. In fact, I wrote about them in my book, Lloyd's Numbers. Lloyd's Book of Numbers, a numerology guide for the 21st century.
Well, you probably wrote about this person too. What would you say about somebody born on 8/4/1961?
8/4, that would be Barack Obama. That's his birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him, there's a whole lot of room between him and Michelle. I don't get into all of that, but whatever it is, because I know she's born January the 17th. And so at any rate, though, this is his year whereby there's been some legal and semi-legal matters he has to address. But next year is going to be, in fact, the next 2 years, beginning next month, is going to be his breakout period for him.
Cool. Well, coming back to family, and then I'm going to leave you alone because I'm sure they've got people.
It's all right. I enjoy this. This is what I love doing this.
So what would you say about somebody, and this is not a famous person, 6/20/1940?
In the eyes of the Most High, we're all famous, Mark,
Right.
if you understand that. These Beyoncés and all that, they just have more fame. But in the eyes of the Most High, all of us, there are no exceptions. All of us are very divinely special.
Right.
So what is this person's birthday again now?
6/20/1940.
6/20, is this a male?
It is a male.
Well, this tells me right away that this person is very receptive. They would do well in the mechanical mathematical sciences, computers, technology, dealing with food, dealing with counseling. But they will find that women have been their blessing and their curse, Mark. If it ain't one thing, it's another.
I can see that. That's ironically my dad. My dad was divorced from my mom when I was 20, but he's been with his lady love for about 25 years and everything like that. So he has found true love in many cases, and he is got a love of science, but he is also an artist by nature. But his art is oftentimes science influenced. So it's science.
Yeah.
Art.
No, that's why I say he would do well in the mechanical mathematical sciences, computers, technology, engineering. And it's interesting because the famous African-American Romeo Arbin was born on the number 2. So yes, he would have artistic things, and it would tell me your dad liked to collect things or find it hard to throw things away. So he has probably a lot of memorabilia. He's a trivia buff. He can remember this fact, that fact, those kinds of things. So he's an interesting gentleman, to say the least.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I didn't mean to take up all the space. I just love this.
No, you good. You good. I love what you do, Lloyd. The question, okay, I want you have for Kayla. One of her best you do a thing with it. You give us the how many people had 3 months, how many people had 6 months. Give Kayla her months of the year.
Well, since she's born on April the 22nd, this year tells me as she's moving out of this year into next year that she's ready to wrap some things up and yet fulfill some of her strongest dreams. We all have angel numbers. Her angel numbers are the 4, 1, and 5, which means her best days are always on a Sunday, a Monday, and a Wednesday. And her powerful months are normally around February, June, July, August, and September. So her mom may have been born in one of those months. She may have gotten, I don't know whether she's in a relationship or mom or whatever the case is, but those months are normally very significant for her. But if you take Bianca, her numbers are the 6, the 2, and the 7. Now, 6 and 2 and 7 have one thing in common. All 3 of these numbers are psychic and intuitive numbers. So I would tell anybody who's giving me Bianca's information, don't play the sister. You know how Bianca, we men say, oh, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. I would never try that trick on you. That don't work with you. You just don't know how you know. So your best days are always on a Friday, 1st, and a Monday. And you tend to do well in the month of March and May, July, and October. So your son may have been born in one of those months, or you conceived him around about that time of the year too. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Things of that nature. What's your son's birthday, by the way?
September 1st.
Oh, he's strong-willed. He doesn't have any of your numbers, so he must have his dad's numbers, which means his father could have been an Aquarius or Aries or Leo, or born on the 1st, the 4th, the 10th, the 13th, the 19th, 22nd, or 31st of the month, or having in his name. What's his father's birthday, by the way?
It's his father's birthday is actually today.
Oh, wow.
Today? He's a Virgo.
Yep.
A Virgo 7. Okay, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. Very, very. The sign for Virgo is I analyze. The number 7 is I analyze. So that means the father of your son is always in his head, always analyzing, like to be his own best company. You'll have totally different energies.
Yep.
Totally different energies. You're more outgoing. He's more private. So the only people can knock on his door is Amazon, FedEx, United Parcels. That's it. They just dropping new stuff. Okay. Okay. Now let's find out about Kayla and Bianca. Gee, find out what are they
go,
doing.
go. I'm go, Lloyd. Do your thing. Do your thing.
No, I'm a guest. I'm not a host.
Well, while you're going, I got another one for you. I don't have any kids of my own, unlike some of the people on this show, but I do have a nephew. So one of them was born 17 years ago and everything like that. So he was born August 21st, 2008. And that is my brother's firstborn. And so he was
Well,
born.
that young man loves to talk. He's old right now. He's very mature. Sometimes you got to ask who he's been talking to, grandma, grandpa, things of that nature. The one thing I like about your nephew is he's going to be extremely ambitious,
Yeah.
to the positive. He always want to make something of himself, want to be famous. He will, and so there are several things he will do. He will do well in the arts. He will do well working for the government if he went into politics or things of that nature. Believe it or not, he would do well in the pharmaceutical industry as well too, whether it's in sales or things of that nature. Whatever it is, he does it with gusto. If you asked him, and by the way, he doesn't look his age, so he still shows his ID in certain places. But he's got a lot of ambition, and sometimes he can be dictatorial. You'll find it in close relationship with his attitude. You do your job, I do my job. But if I got to do my job and your job, we got a problem around here.
Now that sounds like him. And like I said, I'm trying to remember. I know if I remember correctly, the oldest one wants to be a lawyer, and the younger one, who I'm going to mention next, is they're both born in August and everything like that. But the youngest one wants to go in computer science. I think I got them in the right order. I might have them flipped and everything. But his younger brother, Langston, is August 17th, so 8/17/2009. So like I said, they are.
Well, this one, Langston has always been very, very mature for his age. So he would like to date older women, be involved with older women, be introduced to Sex 101 by older women. And in fact, this is the same birthday as Marcus Messiah Garvey, born in St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica. So it indicates he's going to be very mature as he gets
Hold on a
older.
second. I hate to interrupt because I was looking at Facebook and I actually gave you the wrong date. So I
That's all right.
apologize. It's actually 8/13/2009. So it's 8/13.
Well, if it's 8/13, that's the same day as Fidel Castro, Rex Humbard, Alfred Hitchcock, a couple other people. But it tells me this is a young man that likes to think outside the box. That's his thing. That's his MO. If everybody's doing it one way, he's going to do it another way. I would actually describe him as a genius yet to be discovered, especially along the mechanical, mathematical lines, computers, technology, gadgets, gizmos, good with his hands, very sensitive, like to be his own best company too. But as he gets older, his life gets better, especially between his 33rd and 37th birthday.
Yeah. And that's the one that I think, if I remember correctly, wants to go into computer science. We lost a great one today, and I'm going to give you his birthday, and then you tell me what
That's
his
Robert
life
Redford, I do believe.
right. So it is.
Yeah, Robert Redford was a Leo.
Yeah, 1936.
Yeah. I'm born on the 18th of August. And so it's interesting because this year is the year of the 9. In other words, 2025 adds up to a 9. Well, Yonder is born on the 9. So that's why this year is important for him. But it's about family, adjustments, compensation, evolving, going back to school, exercising, fitness, things of that nature, duties, responsibilities, and obligations. But in the case of Robert Redford, he was in an 8-personal year, and essentially the cycle he's in represents symbolically death or rest from labor. Now, it doesn't have to mean a physical happens to unfortunately transition, but it means a symbolic death that you put things aside in order to grow and evolve to the next level.
Okay. Hey, Lord, I want to give you my sons. Lil Rodney is 09/25/2003.
He's 09, what now, to what?
25/2003.
Okay, that's Will Smith's birthday and Christopher Reeve's birthday, formerly of Superman movies. And but it indicates you have a very sophisticated son. He may be young, but he's very mature spiritually. You got the kind of young man Yonder. If you say, well, God made the world, he gonna want to know, well, who made God? That's kind of how he is. You know what I'm saying? He's a deep guy because if you look at Will Smith had a scholarship to MIT and didn't go. You know what I'm saying? So your son would exhibit those characters too, very deep in thought, very philosophical, very mature for his age, and can be sarcastic too if you rub him the wrong way. If you listen how he talk to his friends, like you guys need to take a long walk up a short bridge and keep walking. You know, and they just say, they're telling me something, you know what I'm saying? He's very analytical. He's going to tell you about some very strange dreams that he's had on occasions, probably almost deja vu. You guys would be out at a bus stop. He'd say, yo, Pops, I remember this, or something of that nature. He's very intuitive, and he's got numbers similar to Bianca, which means he's got all psychic numbers. His numbers are the 7, 2, and 6, and Bianca's numbers are the 6, 2, and 7. So although they're in a different order, the 3 psychic numbers in numerology are the 2, the 6, and the 7, and Bianca possesses all 3. So your son would have that intuition just like Bianca would.
Wow, that's interesting. What do you say about people that are called old souls? I've heard that name for a number of people. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you another birthday, and he was referred to as an old soul. And once I give you the date, you may know him, you may not. He is quote unquote famous and everything. He's got a famous parent, and actually famous 2 parents and everything. But what would you say to somebody that is born on March 20th, 2006?
That's Spike Lee's birthday, for example, among other people. But that birth, is this a male or female?
It's a male.
This person is a water sign with a water number, which means they're very nurturing. They would do well in psychology, counseling, therapy. They would make excellent chefs, things of that nature, or how food is prepared. This year is a life or game-changing year for this person too. And they're about to enter a phase where it's going to deal with makeups, breakups, love, marriage, separation, divorce, moving into a home, moving out of a home. They like to collect things. They love to dance and things of that nature. And they're also deeply intuitive about things. They like to collect and got a very sentimental nature about them as well.
Ironically, and I consider myself very much, and definitely Yonder will enjoy this, I consider myself very liberal. You mentioned that earlier in politics and everything. I don't think my brother considers himself conservative. I think he considers himself liberal as well and everything. But ironically, this is somebody that we would not have a great deal of respect for his dad. We don't know enough about him yet and everything. But that birthday that I gave you, March 20th, 2006, and you say that he shares it with Spike Lee, is ironically Byron Trump's birthday.
Oh yes, that's right. The son. That's
The
right.
son.
That's his son. And his mother Melania is born on May the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and see the opposition number to the 6 is the 5. That's Donald Trump's birthday. So it's just very interesting, and I'll just leave it at that.
It is interesting.
Exactly. Hey, Kayla, give him Nana's birthday.
January 1st, 1943.
Now, who's this? Your mom?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother? A woman that spoke her mind. Okay, you let the chips fall where they may. Okay, if you're a knucklehead, the last time she checked, you still a knucklehead. But the beautiful part about your grandmother is this: she'll tell you straight no chase, and she'll say, "But boy, don't do that stupid thing again." Okay, so everybody knew what time it was with her. She always got along better with males than females, to be honest. There's this New York comedian named Moms Mabry that used to say the only thing a woman could do for your grandmother is bring her a man, because she got along much better with them. But had she had the kind of conditions that are make it available for women to evolve now, she would have made an excellent lawyer, doctor, entrepreneur, scientist, inventor, administrative manager, CEO, things of that nature. But she was always ahead of the curve. But she was brutally honest. So what you saw is what you got.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, definitely. Give him pop-ups, Kayla.
Oh, I don't know his birthday like that. It's like
And
your
grandmother would always have concerns with the heart palpitations, irregular blood circulations, things of that nature.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and concerns with the lower back and things like that. Headaches, knees, teeth, the bones, a little constipation or digestive.
Yeah, like all 3 types of arthritis. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
My grandfather's birthday is April 27th,
A man who thought he was the
1946.
greatest thing since ice cream.
Oh my God. Yes.
That is what you call it? That is Martin Luther King's wife's birthday. Was
Coretta
that
Scott
Correct.
King.
King?
Coretta Scott.
I don't. Um, what's
Coretta
her
Scott
wife's
King.
name? It's Coretta Scott King. That's her birthday. Yes, the 27th. So it tells me your grandfather may have had some experience in the military, or wore a uniform, or construction, or things
He
like
was
that.
he was a sheriff.
He's a fighter. He's also so when your grandmother and your grandfather had some difference of opinion, I'd have loved to be the fly on the wall, because they did not bend. They was just like up in each
Hmm.
other. Yeah. So that's probably why they got as long as they did. But and your grandfather was more accident prone than illness prone. Like your mom might be more illness prone, but your father's more accident prone. Injuries, cuts, nicks, burns, bruises, fender benders, things of that nature, accidents, things like that. But he's always been very rough and tumble, and he's earned his keep on this planet. There's no question about it.
Hey, Lloyd, what would you say to somebody that was January 18th, 1907? That was actually my grandmother, and she had some history.
Well, she too would have been very direct. And it's interesting, if that's your grandmother, that means your grandfather may have come out of the military, law enforcement, construction, traffic, because her birthday suggests she would normally attract men in uniform. But she was always a fighter. She had the power of mediumship to go in and out of the visible and invisible world. So she had some magical powers in her day. She may have been thought about as weird, but she was a mystical lady as well, but always refreshingly honest. She spoke her mind, and she got along better with the males than the females. That's for sure.
Well, no doubt about that. She's actually mentioned in the book, and Yonder, you'll love this, in the book, the letters between Arna Bontemps and Langston Hughes, because people would stop at Grandma's house because Grandma was a librarian. She was actually the first African American librarian in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the founder of the Richard B. Harrison Public Library, the first
Wow,
library
that's
in Raleigh
interesting.
to
Oh,
serve
that's
African
great.
Americans. So she was there. But if you go to the book, they say that they like to stop, and that's the two famous African American authors, because they knew that she would have some bottle of snaps at her house and everything. So she would have a drink for folks to enjoy when they came to
Yeah.
visit here.
And Langston Hughes was born on February the 1st. That was his birthday.
Like the use was when?
Born on February the 1st. He was an Aquarius. Yes, he lived here in Harlem, where I live.
Okay. Yeah, but she definitely stopped in. Arna Bontemps was another famous author, but yeah, it was the letters that they wrote to each other that she's mentioned, I think, twice or maybe three times.
Yeah. So you're
Okay,
in good
Lord,
company, sir. Definitely.
And to
I want to
answer
give
your
you.
question, she is her husband, my grandfather, was a teacher. He was a professor. The biology building at North Carolina Central University is named after him. So he was actually
Wow.
a scientist.
Nice.
Lord, I want to give you my brother, 6/24/1964.
A man that is stubborn, a man that's controlling, a man that does better with women than he does men. In other words, he's got help from men and women, but it's more the women that will come to his rescue more than a male.
True.
And in fact, he has to be very careful, because his birthday denotes he trips easily. He's got something about tripping or falling easy, so he may have had a bad spill off a bike or horse or motor scooter or something like that, and so he should always wear a protective head. But he's a good judge of character. He's probably was involved in athleticism in some point, whether baseball, volleyball, racquetball, tennis ball, golf ball. There was a ball at the end of it. But a man that was very stubborn if he couldn't get his way, extremely stubborn.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, definitely. That is funny.
I don't
That's
know
my
why you're
brother.
putting all these people's business on there.
Well,
And then
who
they're
you
gonna
got,
call me and
Bianca?
talk about me
Bianca,
too.
who you
See,
got? I know you got somebody, Bianca. Come stop playing. Who you got?
So he already did my son. So my mother, March 4th.
your mother is a very unusual woman, extremely sensitive, and I would say you and your mother, you love her, God bless her, but there were points in times probably growing up, you two did not see eye to eye at all. Y'all was totally different. You had the kind of mother that was very contrarian, so to speak, where you were more traditional in your upbringing. Because, for example, as a young child, you probably thought you would go into the arts like dance, theater, design, acting, painting, things like that, or become supportive of the arts. but your mother was always kind of different. She was kind of like a person that was super sensitive and misunderstood, at least from her perspective, and just would like to do things totally different from others. And also, where you would make a bunch of friends, your mother had very few friends, but what friends she had were loyal. Very few could be counted on one hand, so to speak. And she tended to have been misdiagnosed by by the medical profession too, because her health, somewhat like Kayla's, has to do a lot with her state of mind. Does that sound like your mom?
Yep.
What about your dad?
He's December 26th.
Baby.
An old soul guy, Capricorn. Okay, he's an Earth sign with an Earth number, so that means he was very practical, very grounded, very down to earth. Um, and Amanda was a solid citizen. Amanda tried to be a person of his word. He's, you know, in the old days of our fathers and grandfathers, that's when you shook on a handshake. Now you got to sign all these contracts. Then there's a prenup to the prenup and codicils and all these things you got to sign. Where it's like nobody trusts nobody. But you had the kind of grandfather that when he said he was going to do it, it was like taking money to the bank. Very steadfast, very steadfast. Good with his hands too.
Yep, he sure is.
Salt of the earth. Yeah.
Yonder doesn't know this, but the network, because he came in after Reginald had started and joined the Pod TV network, but it's run by a couple of folks, Nick Palveda and Kim Calhoun. So just for the fun of it, I looked up and I don't always know their birthdays. Nick's birthday is January 26, 1957. So he's one of the founders of this particular podcasting network. So he's January 26, 1957.
That's interesting because you talked about Robert Redford passing, but his companion in movies was Paul Newman, whose birthday is that day too. Okay. Also, Nina, I'll think of her in a moment. She's a singer with short hair. That's her birthday too. I'll think of it.
Nina Simone.
Short hair.
No, not Nina Simone. Nina Simone is born more in March. But Anita Baker. Anita Baker, that's her birthday. Okay. I got so many birthdays in my head, see, Mark. I'm just like, but at any rate, this particular person is normally, well, for them, this person, a lot of things have come to a head for this particular individual. And they're ready to step out on their own, to be very honest. They're ready to step out on faith, do things in a very independent fashion. They're normally very dedicated, intense, misunderstood, but to know them actually is to love them. And they do well with money, but they just have to be careful who they get advice from sometimes. That's all.
It's interesting you say that because he, in addition to founding this network, is a pension attorney. So he has his own pension attorney firm and all along those lines. And he and his wife and their dog, and unfortunately the dog passed away, just recently moved, I think it was last year, to Spain. So he did just kind of like up and move on his own because he wanted to escape some of the craziness of the United States and go out and be adventurous.
Yeah. I think a whole lot of people after all this craziness going on,
Hey, I have two more for you, Lloyd.
Yes.
My mother and father, who are both deceased. My mother was 10-8. My father was 10-9.
They were both back to back?
They were dead in a year apart.
Wow.
10-8 and 10-9?
Yeah, they were dead in a year apart.
Okay.
That's like my nephews.
Well, with your mom, she was a Libra 8 person, so that meant she was an air sign with an 8 number. My mother was also an 8, but she was born on the 26. 2 + 6 is 8. 8 people tend to be misunderstood. They're governed by Saturn, the planet of maturity, the planet of history, the planet of legacy. And so because 8 is the number of fate or destiny, this is why they're always looking to heavens for divine justice, because down here, people are not ready for them. But as people get to know them, they find that they're extremely loyal, extremely faithful, very determined. And when they feel that God is on their side, they do not budge at all. The one thing about both your parents here, they were both out on their own between their 19th and 22nd birthday. That is for sure. Your mom may have, no. And so when you said she passed away, I would say that is because probably part of it is being misdiagnosed. 8s and 4 people tend to be misread by people in life, and definitely in the medical profession as well. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it could have been something with a heart palpitations,
Mm-hmm.
uh, in digestive kind of situations like that. Your father, a man that was very honest. He knew everybody everywhere he goes. He treated everybody as one, and he didn't play. He was a man that was just straight, no chaser, told it like it was. He was not a man to pray. He was not a man afraid to carry a gun or deal with a gun if he had to. Okay, in that sense. So therefore, if he had military background, law enforcement background, things of that nature, that made sense. But everybody knew where he stood, and he didn't take notation. He just had a good opinion of himself, which is why he had open enemies from time to time.
Hey, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
He definitely had a good opinion of himself. Definitely.
Somebody's got to, okay?
I got a question for you, Lloyd, and
they're
everything.
running the family. You
It's
gotta
not
have
so
a good
much
opinion of
a
yourself.
birthday
Huh?
number and everything like that, but the question I've got for you, and I study poli sci was my minor, so I study history and I study a lot of other things as well. And I know that some people don't realize that numerology is actually, if I remember correctly, in the Bible and everything like that.
Book
So
of
I just
numbers.
wondering, what is your question or answer to those that look at numerology and even to some degree astrology and see that as the opposite of biblical, even though it's my understanding that
Well,
it's actually in
actually,
the
I
Bible.
refer to the Bible as a numerology book.
Come
So
on.
if you go to Psalms 23, verses
Come
2
on,
to
Lord. Come
2,
on.
that we using some numbers. And in fact, there are three religious groups. I hope y'all don't go off the air for this. There are three religious groups that tend to have a problem with me: born again Christians, Seventh-day Adventists, and Jehovah Witnesses.
Mhm.
Yet when I tell them that if you go to the Old Testament, the fourth book of Moses is called the book of Numbers,
Numbers.
Yep.
where God instruct Moses on the second day of the second month to name the army by the name and by their poll. Not only that, but if you go to the other side of Revelation, they will say, here is the mark of the beast, it is the mark of man, and his number is 666. And cryptically, as you go deeper into that section of Revelation, they refer to Christ as 888, which adds to 24, and 2 plus 4 is 6, which represents symbolically love. So then I tell them this: since Cain killed Abel in the Bible, that's the first murder, when Cain killed his brother Abel, right? So I said, well, name me a war fought in the name of the zodiac sign of Cancer. They can't name me one. Well, name me a war fought in the name of the number 9. They can't name me one. So until such times these religious bodies find me a war fought in the name of a zodiac sign or a number, I'll stop what I'm doing. But at least what I do don't kill nobody. Because and if you notice, one of the 10 commandments is, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt have no God before me. Thou shalt honor thy mother and thy father. Thou shalt not cover a man's wife. They didn't put it like that, but that's what they're saying in essence. You know what I'm saying? A couple other things.
A woman's husband.
I have a question.
Yes, please do.
So I'm like pretty interested in astrology, and I've been like reading up that like this year and like I guess the next few years are supposed to be like my Saturn return.
Well,
Um,
it all depends on the age, how old you are. How old are you, if I may add? Are you about 28, 29?
I'm 27.
Okay, so yes. So when you're about 28, in fact, the lunar cycle of a woman's monthly cycle is about every 28 days when you'll be looking for aunt flow, as you'll call it. Okay.
Hmm.
So you are getting to that age of maturity. And so it's interesting because every 7 years, there are different phases. So when the first 7 years is about growing, then from 7 to 14, that's the second phase. That's when they start reaching puberty. Then from 15 to 21, that's the third phase of it. That's when you start taking on responsibilities. But that 28, or 4 times 7 is 28. And that is the level of maturity. And that's when you kind of come into your own. This is when people begin to find their career, what they want to do, or get into relationships that are more meaningful other than just boyfriend, girlfriend in school, high school, junior high school, things of that nature. So it sets the tone for what is about to happen.
It's about to go down.
All in your business, right, Kayla?
What does numerology say in terms of not just people, but in terms of nations and everything like that. Because I've heard some people say that we have the rise and fall of empires, and that the United States may be getting ready to do what Rome did. And we've even had some people that have said that the current person who is on his, I think, 47th presidency and everything like that, it may be the new czar or the new king and everything like that. So, what does the numerology say about? Because I do know that historically, particularly in some of the European countries and even some of the African countries, that numerology played a role in even what generals did and what some of the leaders did in their thought patterns and everything. So, what is your?
Well, numerology and astrology have always played a part from ancient Egypt. Napoleon used it, Hitler used it, and in fact, J.P. Morgan, the famous financier, when asked the fact when in his day, they asked him when they found out he was using astrology, and when they went to him, he says, "No, astrology don't make millionaires; it makes billionaires." And in fact, um, he was taught by Evangeline Adams, an astrologer of her day that was born on the 8th of February. And what's so interesting, when the Titanic sunk in April 14th of 1912, he owned the White Star Line. He was supposed to be on the ship because the ship was supposed to arrive in New York on his birthday, April 17th, yet he was not on it. But what happens is Mercury was retrograde in the sign of Aries, which governs accidents. And so here it is, he had the most prestigious promenade on the White Star Line that he owned, yet he did not go. And yet many famous people, the Waldorfs and other people of that nature, died on that ship when it sunk. But what's interesting is less than a year later, on March the 31st of 1913, 17 days before his birthday, J.P. Morgan passed away.
Well,
So it's
because
almost as
that
if
did,
they didn't deny him. They hadn't
because
even
that
gotten to
did.
the first year of the celebration of the sinking of the Titanic. And
Yeah,
he
and I was
passed.
going to say that we just found out. I think they just found some new jewels and everything that were recently discovered, because people forget that there was a sister ship of the Titanic, the Britannica, and they just
Yep,
recently did some research where they found some of the
yeah,
merchandise that was still on the ship, because that was the sister ship of the Titanic.
yep. So again, in fact, to speak and getting closer, Ronald Wilson Reagan, the president of the United States, who was 6 letters in his first name, 6 letters in his last name, 6 letters in his middle name as well. When he was shot, when there was an attempted assassination on March the 30th of 1981 at the Hilton Hotel down in Washington, D.C., that's when his wife, Nancy Reagan, brought in an astrologer, Kathleen Quinn. She
Right.
made sure her husband did do nothing without going to consulting an astrologer. And here's what makes him unique. Ronald Wilson Reagan made the fifth and only Aquarian president to date. It was William Henry Harrison, Abraham Lincoln, um, uh, Roosevelt, and then I think Harding. No, not Harding, but it was one of those Aquarians. They all died in office. He was the only one to get out of office in one piece. But she made sure. And in fact, when the Reagans got out of office, the friends of the White House donated a house to them, and the house number was 666, and Nancy changed it to 664.
So Nancy changed it and everything along those lines. Well, that's
Yeah,
amazing and everything like that.
yeah.
I got another historical figure for you. What about 817, 1887?
817.
1887.
I think, is that Marcus Garvey's birthday?
That is Marcus Garvey's birthday.
Yeah, because he died in London on June the 10th of 1942.
Yes.
And on that same day, but in another year, Jack Johnson died on June the
Well,
4th as a result of a car accident.
wow.
Hey,
And on
Lloyd,
that day, yes, go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, no, finish that. Finish that. Now,
Because on that day, Hattie McDaniels that became the first African American to win the Academy Award for her role in Gone with the Wind. Was born on that day, June the 10th. And on the day of it, she couldn't even go in the front like everybody else to receive her
Right.
accolades. But that was her birthday, June the 10th.
Wow.
Okay, I know what I want to say, Lloyd. Before we go, I meant to do this before on the first half of it. I want you to go ahead, plug your website and everything that you're doing. I'm gonna put your your great book up here, but plug your
Okay, and
website
this
and
is the
tell folks where
Bible.
they can find you.
This is the Bible here. Numbers in you. This
Okay.
is the
Okay.
Bible of all the
Okay.
books. This is my book, and I'm working on another book now as we speak. But for people, well, they get a free newsletter. But one of the things I'm most proud of is I have a mobile phone app. It's called a Star Eight, ASTAR. Think of a star in the heavens with the number eight attached to it. So a Star Eight. You download the app. You'll see it'll tell you about your lucky numbers, your stress numbers. You'll see the forecasts and everything like that. It's something that I developed. But if you go to Linktree / numbers in you, you'll see my free newsletters. I have an online course. I do have a podcast every Monday and Wednesday on YouTube called Live with Lloyd, or it's called Numbers in You. That's the channel name, but my show is called Live with Lloyd, which I'm going to have Yonda on. Bianca, I'd like to have you on at some point too, since you are an author, if you don't mind, not to drag you into this. But this seems so unfair to have them on and they didn't get on the word in about what they do, where they are, and
I
all of this stuff. That is so not right.
They can
They
we can go
they
they can
did.
go
They,
over
they
it.
they had to do numbers. They did a number. They wasn't guests like you. I had Bianca on the first show, Lloyd. She
Yes.
she did she did my first initial show. Bianca did my first initial show.
Yep.
Well, what about Kayla?
Caleb
Leave
probably be
Kayla
on a
out now.
later show and everything like that because I know
Leave
Bianca
no
Kayla,
got
Kayla
what,
out
what,
now.
what would you like to say, Kayla?
Oh, I don't have anything to say. I find all this stuff super interesting. I always like keep track of like what's going on astrologically. So I've never really gotten into numerology. So I think it would be interesting to like see what's going on and how everything is like related to me.
Well,
Lloyd
what you
was your
do is
mama's man.
download.
That's how Lloyd. That's how I know you. Kayla's mama is the one introduced. That's who we met at the hotel. Lloyd was your mama's man. She loved her some Lloyd.
Well,
Hey,
I tell you this.
Lloyd, you mentioned something that I've never heard people talk about. What is a stress number? Because I've heard people talk about the numbers like your birth numbers and everything. And is that something that you came up with, or is that something that other
No,
numerologists
no,
deal
no.
with?
That is the making of the Most High. Just as we have numbers that are good for us, we have numbers that challenges us.
Yeah.
I've just been blessed to understand that. So if your birthday is July the 1st, it tells me your major opposition numbers are the 8 and the 1. Therefore, Sundays and Saturdays are your more challenging days. If you've ever had problems or setbacks, it's normally around late December into January, late April into May, late September into October, more than any other time. The loss of a relative, a breakup, or something of that nature. So my app, a star 8, ASTAR, the number 8. If you get it on Google or Android, when you download it, it will tell you not only your good numbers, because I gave all your good numbers on the air, but it tells you your stress numbers
Your
too.
stress numbers.
So if I talk to, so that's why I talked about with Bianca mentioning her mother's birthday, the opposition number to the number 6 is the number 4. That's her mother, and the opposition number to the 4 is the number 6, which is her daughter. So it's not that they don't love each other and knowing that's my mom and that's my daughter, but there were times they did not see eye to eye. Now maybe as she matured and had her own child, maybe, but I would say, would I be in the ballpark with that, Bianca? Not to get in your business?
Yeah.
Sound like you in the ballpark. Hey,
It,
since we got Baltimore in the background and everything, that's the Baltimore Harbor background and everything. I've got another famous person for you that's got Baltimore connections. November 9th, 1731.
That is, you know who is, you know who that reminds me of? Dorothy Dandridge.
Mhm.
She's
That
born
is
on that day.
actually Benjamin Banneker, the person that created DC or
That's
one of the
exactly
architects.
right.
Yeah.
In fact, he laid out the whole architecture of the Washington D.C., Northeast, Northwest, whatever. And he built the first movable clock there. Um, he designed the first almanac. He made Benjamin Banneker's almanac look like it was just getting started. Okay, and on the
Yes.
day he died, all his stuff was burned. The cabin was burned down,
Well,
all of his stuff. And I have a book on Benjamin Banneker right here in my library, and I honor him every November because that is his birthday, November the 9th. And they believe that he is an ancestor of the Dogon people that founded the Sirius star in Africa, that knew the distance, the depth, the density, the weight of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who came there, the missionaries, that said, well, the missionaries must have told. Black people can't get no kind of credit. See, we don't get no kind of credit. But if you look at the photographs that was taken of the brothers in Dogon, they look like brothers on 125th Street, just in some African raps. You know what I'm saying?
And the scary thing is that, like Pauline Murray, they tried to paint him as being a member of the LGBTQ community because in both of their cases, they were never able to find significant others and everything like that. So whether they were or weren't, who knows?
You know, there's an interesting book out called Black People Invented Everything, and in a sense, it's almost true. Like the GPS was invented by Gladys West that lives right there in Virginia.
Right.
Okay. When you look at Katherine Johnson, born on August the 26th, she was the one that gave John Glenn to go into space. Although they had the computers, he wasn't going to. So if you look at Hidden Figures, I don't know if you've seen the movie Hidden
Yes.
Figures. It
Mhm.
gave great credit to those women, and their minds were computers.
Yes.
Nowadays, people can't count out of a bag. Okay. So I'm telling you, we are the greatest people on the planet, and I'm not taking anything away from other people, but I'm not going to deny our greatness either. I'm just not going to do that.
That is so true.
So
That is so
that's my
true. Well, Lloyd, plug your website again.
my website. My website.
Bianca
If you want to
and
go
Kayla
to,
and Mark, you have any last words
okay,
for Lloyd? Because we only get an hour, and our hour is about
okay.
up.
Now my website is Lloyd-Strayhorn. That's LLOYD-Strayhorn. STRAYHORN. Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. If you want to get all the bells and whistles of what I offer, go to Linktree, linktr.ee/numbers in you, named after my book. Sign up for the free newsletter. Download the app on your phone, whether it's Android or Apple, and it's called A Star 8, ASTAR, the number 8, and whatnot. I have online courses. I have a lot of things. I have a podcast. I have my ebook. I have my audiobook, Numbers in You. This book is actually an audio. So you can go there. And for consultations, if you want consultations, just sign up right there, and it'll be an honor and a pleasure to speak to people.
And
But
trust
this
me,
is,
everyone, you want to get
huh?
a one-on-one consultation with Lloyd. I've had him
Yeah,
numerous times. Lloyd sits with you for hours. I've known Lloyd so long ago that my first consultation with Lloyd, I had a cassette.
yeah, that's
Then
right.
we went
That's
to
right.
You
That was
sure
CDs.
you didn't
before
have an
that was
eight
before
track?
And
DVDs.
then we started taping on the phone. But Lloyd tells you stuff that goes on through the years. And one of the best things he told me about, you have how many months are good months for you, like April, May, and June. April, May, June, September,
September,
October,
October,
November
November, always your
are
good
my
month.
good months.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to lay low on some of those months when things are
yeah,
going on
yeah.
and victory will happen in those months. And just numbers and everything. I live by some of the things that Lloyd says to me. I mean, because
But you
he's
see,
been through.
all those things I did was what created the Star 8 app, where I would come into DC and do a lot of business clients. I'd
Yes.
mark their calendars. Well, the technology has allowed me to do it on an app. So all they got
Oh,
to do
get
is
out
just
of
download
here.
the app on their phone. A Star 8, ASTAR number 8 by Lloyd Strayhorn. Just
Man.
download it, press in the 6-digit code. It'll tell you about your name, your birthday, compatibility, your home, your car, business, travel, everything. All the things that people have asked me over the decades of going to DC is now on the app.
Oh,
Such
Oh
is
wow.
the
man,
technology.
congratulations, Lloyd.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Lloyd
Like
got
I
his
said,
own app. Cool. I'm
yeah.
gonna let the ladies turn to the conversation. It looks like we got a couple of questions if I can get to them. There might be people trying to sell us stuff and
okay.
everything like that, but I'm gonna see if I can pull up the comments.
Well,
And I
I
know
want to
the
buy
ladies will
Bianca's
have
book. That's what I want to do.
Yes.
I'll make sure she
Thank
gets your
you.
information, Lloyd, so
And
you
see
can y'all
all
can take
that.
care of that.
That's going to be
Yes.
juicy. That sounds juicy.
It is juicy.
What you got,
a.
Mark? What you got for us?
I'm trying to find out if they got the comments. If I can pull them up, their computer's trying to have a moment. I might have to go to the phone app and everything like that. Speaking of app, but while I'm waiting, Lloyd, and everything like that, just really quickly, what's the craziest? And then I'm sure the ladies may have a closing question as well. What's the craziest thing that you've had happen in terms of a number that you weren't expecting? Because I know that there's got to be something that you got a result and you were going like, I was not expecting that result.
You know, I would have to think about that. But if you would have asked me when I first started, I was invited to a off Broadway play backstage in the earlier parts, and this young man, he found out about me and asked me to come and meet him in the back of the stage. He had told me that he was born on the 28th. His wife was born on the 28th. His son was born on the 28th. He married on the 28th. Well, that person wound up being Denzel Washington. And when he got his first Oscar, it was presented by um, Julia Roberts, who was born on the 28th. They presented it to him. So I've had those kind of experiences. Barry White, James Ingram, uh, I mean, I've been blessed to meet so many people. I mean, really, really, truly.
You did
I'm
have a
trying
couple
to
of
think of
questions.
some stuff.
Red T
That's a
Lane
great
asked how
question.
to
I got to think of
want to
that.
learn how to be an astronumerologist, and Gloria Berry said hello, very interesting conversation, and also asked us to read this particular author. But yeah,
Well, did she
like,
did she put in a birthday where I could?
That's my
uh,
mother.
Oh, the one that's March 4th.
yeah,
I don't know
Yeah,
if she
see,
had
I remember
joined
the
by then,
birthday.
but
See? Okay.
she might have joined late.
I'll
Maybe she
answer
didn't hear.
Freddie's question in a moment. Well, your mother's always been very sensitive and misunderstood, but yet in her own way, in her own special way, she is very helpful. She's very a strong defender of the underdog. She doesn't like people homeless or destitute or whatever the case is like that. And she's got her own way that kind of rubs people the wrong way because she's not a conventional. Your mother's never been conventional. She's always been unconventional. Your mother was also probably raised by a third party influence in her life. In other words, yes, the mom and dad was there, but it could have been your grandmother that helped raise her, your auntie that did a part in raising her as a child. And then she got older, especially between her 33rd and 31st and 37th birthday. Then she started coming into um, a life of her own. But she's always been very different, always sensitive, good with her hands. And, your, like in all things, Bianca, when our parents come out of the old school, that's where they taught us the old ways. It wasn't this technology,
Mhm.
wasn't gadgets and gizmos, internets and cell phones and all this other stuff. You had to make do with what you did. Okay. But your mother is very sensitive and high strung, easily wounded in her feelings. And the one thing about your mother, she will forgive you, but she ain't gonna never forget.
You got that right.
Yeah. That's true.
and then Fred's question before we get out of here.
Okay, how to learn? All you got to do is go to my website, Linktree. That's linktr.ee/numbers and you. I have online courses there on Udemy. It's called the Learn from Lloyd series. It's Learn from Lloyd how to read a person like a book, Learn from Lloyd the next step in numerology, and Learn from Lloyd the do's and don'ts of numerology. It'll teach you how to do it. Plus, I teach privately and I teach a class for certification if you really want to do this as a profession.
Cool.
Hey Lloyd, tell the young lady I said, hey, the young lady who you taught, what's her name? What's her name? She's from Detroit.
Oh,
Give her
Kaya
number.
French.
Yes, yes. Tell her I said, hey, tell her I sent some love.
Okay, good enough. Good enough. I certainly will. I
Yeah,
certainly
she
will.
took care of me one day, and I was like, you got this, girl. You got the gift.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as I says, when you look at the biology of what it takes for one sperm to meet one egg, and we are the result of it, you can't tell me we're not special. But we're not encouraged in this culture that we're special. But we are.
Yes.
Every single one of us have a God-given talent, gift, skill, or ability. It's how we find it. Some of us never find it because we're so busy looking at everybody else's backyard. Beyonce ain't gonna pay your bills. Jay-Z ain't gonna buy your food. Kanye ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
So the
right.
point is to see what you have. So I like this Earl Nightingale thing called Acres of Diamonds, that we're so busy looking at everybody else's backyard that perhaps under our own feet are acres of diamond to be untapped if we look into it. So that's all I'm saying. Everybody's special. That's why I treat everybody the same until they act like a knucklehead. Then I don't bother with them.
True, true.
You know.
Well, thank you
So
so much. Any more questions, Mark, from the fans, from the folks?
Nope.
Well,
I'm good.
thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you, Kayla, for coming through. Thank you, Bianca, for coming through. Mark, as usual, pleasure. And thank you to world renowned, my friend, numerologist, been on Oprah 3 times. Now he's gonna be on me 3 times.
well, I
Lloyd
want to say
Stringer.
this. This is very embarrassing, and you need to be ashamed of yourself to have these people, these beautiful sisters on, and they ain't say nothing but just. It's like that seems so selfish of me. That's not right, man. That's
Well,
not right.
Kayla, what you want to say, Kayla?
I don't have anything else. I can't think of anything. Um, I mean, if you could repeat what you said about me, I think I forgot some stuff.
You can listen to the tape.
Well,
It's
you're
so
Okay,
born
okay,
April the
okay.
20. You're born April the 22nd, so you've had a rough start, but you got the kind of life as you get older. So I'll put it this way, Kayla: you may be the last to marry, the last to have children, the last to have this, that, and the other, but you're going to wind up having the last laugh. And some of your same girlfriends will say, "Girl, I wish I'd have waited like you. Girl, I wish I'd have had more experience than you." And so
boy.
sometimes when we think we're not kind of like up with everybody, it's a blessing. You will be a late bloomer, but boy, you're gonna really do very, very well. And don't forget, Kathy Hughes was born on your birthday. She owns Radio One, TV One. She's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So you have that same potential. Then the 22 is considered a master number or a master builder, and it has dominion over radio, television, computers, technology, engineering, the higher arts and sciences, and things like that. As for Bianca, she's anything that has to do with the art and beauty. So it tells me, Bianca, quickly, in the earliest stage, you may have thought of going into the arts in some way, dance, theater, acting. In another ways, coming up as a young lady, you might have thought of going into the world of business, like real estate, banking, law, working for the government. But no matter what phase you are in life, you always about people always ask you, what I do about this. They'll ask you questions, how do I get to the moon? Knowing you don't know how to get to the moon, but they're gonna ask you anyway, because you're normally good at giving advice.
Yep.
And everything you like, you can't afford. That's one thing about it. You got great taste. Everything you like, you can't afford. If you like it, you know it's going to cost some money. So how are we going to
Mhm.
get it? That's how it is. So you may not have much, but what you got is quality. Your stuff is timeless. That's why you will have things in your wardrobe that you bought years ago that still look great when you put it on now. That's how you roll.
Yep.
And you slow getting out the door too. You rush everybody and you the last one to get out the door yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you
Anything
so
else,
much
Les
for that.
Mark?
No, just great
You good?
conversation. Sounds amazing. So I'm sure there'll
Thank
be
you.
back. You
I
oftentimes have.
enjoyed this. This was embarrassing, Yonder. You need to know that. Okay. I just thought it'd be an
You wrong. You
impact of
wrong,
all of
Lord.
us. And, I want to find out about Bianca and her book, how she started. That's why I'm going to invite her on the show. So if you don't mind, with permission, Bianca, can Yonder send me your number? I'll get in contact with you and set up a time for you to come on the show. And
Yep,
it's
that's fine.
Live with Lloyd. It's every Monday, every Wednesday. And you can see it on YouTube. I've got 3 years worth of shows on YouTube. It's numbers. My YouTube channel is Numbers in You, named after my book, and you'll see it. So if you like it, come on. I've had authors on. I'm going to have Yonder on.
Yes.
I've had authors on before, so I have all kinds of things. Queen of
And you
Forbes,
had my girl. You
Yanni
had my
Van
girl on
Sant,
there.
huh?
Yama Van Zant was on there one night. That's
Yeah, I've
my.
had her on
That's
about 3 or 4 times. Yeah,
yep.
Yana.
Nice. I
Her
love it, yeah.
birthday. Her birthday was on the 13th, just 2 days ago.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. Or 3 days ago. It's on the 13th, Saturday.
Hmm.
So anyway, I enjoyed running my mouth, and
We enjoyed you, Lloyd. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you so much. The
And you
pleasure is
ladies are
all
beautiful,
mine.
and I wish you all the
Thank you.
best.
Thank
And you,
you.
my
Thank
distinguished
you.
Mark, you take good care of yourself. It's an honor and a pleasure to meet you too, sir.
Pleasure to meet you as well. So,
All
like I said,
righty.
we're going to get on that
Thank.
again.
Thank you.
I give you a holler. Thank you so much, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I done text you my address. Send me the
I
books,
see it.
and
I
I'll
see
get
it.
them.
I'm gonna get. I'm gonna send you your books this week.
Okay. Thank you so much. Y'all have
Thank
a
you so
blessed
much, sir.
day. Y'all
You
take
Thank
care.
too.
you.
Take it
Bye
easy.
Bye.
bye now.